Hello, everyone, and welcome out to The Good, the Bad, and the Geeky, a podcast where I talk a bunch of geeky stuff, some good, some bad, but all of it definitely geeky. Today on the show, I have
Travis Horseman.
And we're going to be talking about the new DC film Shazam, starring Zachary Levi as the Tyler boy turned adult superhero. But first, from the minds of Nikki Tells You How to Live Your Life, Nikki Smith and It's All Been Done Radio Hours, Jerome Wetzel, comes a new weekly photo comic called Life's Gummy. Every Saturday, read a new strip at ibdpresents.com. Follow a tribe of gummy bears on their adventures as they navigate the jungle of a living room, seek out wise elders at the top of the couch, and forage for food on a messy desk. All of the programming for IBD can be found at ibdpresents.com, and throw some cash their way on their Patreon at patreon.com/IBD. Also, our sponsor of the show is Audible, with over 200,000 titles to choose from, 30-day membership, get a book to get you started, 1 credit a month after the trial, good for any book regardless of price. And you know what? Say you get that book, you're not a fan of it. Easy exchanges for free.
Free?
Free! So if you're interested, all you need is an Amazon account. If you don't have one, sign up for one. It's super easy. Go to audibletrial.com/goodbadgeeky. That's audibletrial.com/goodbadgeeky. Download the Audible app and start enjoying your new audiobook now or after this podcast. So we're going to talk about Shazam. I think it's going to be a very enlightening conversation. I'm not DC versed. You are, comparatively between the two of us.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and I think I feel like you're gonna drop some knowledge bombs on me.
I could drop bombs. Hopefully, knowledge
of jobs of knowledge, maybe.
Yes.
No, but I'm looking forward to what you have to add, because again, I tend to be like not as I know Batman is pretty much literally all it goes in.
Most people know, but go on.
No. You're wonderful. I'm excited to have you on the show because you know more DC than I am, and I'm looking forward to it. Now, at the time of we're recording this should come out in a few days after we record it, but you have something coming out soon.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes, please plug away.
As some of you may know, I am a graphic novelist and comic book writer myself, self-published. I am releasing a 32-page horror comic that I did all by my ownsome. Well, that's not true. There was a team of artists helping me. But I colored it myself.
Those pesky
with
artists.
My favorite crayons. No, but...
no, I get it.
No, I'm releasing a horror comic, 32-page horror comic called Sugar Creek, and I will be releasing it on the weekend of April 27th at two different shows. One here in Columbus, Small Press and Alternative Comics Expo, or SPACE. That's at the Northland Performing Arts Center on Morse Road. And the other one, the other show I'm going to be releasing it at is Gem City, which will be taking place in Dayton, Ohio, Gem City Comic Con. I won't be in both places at once. We're splitting up the team this time around, but you can go pick it up either place starting April 27th, Saturday.
Nice. And so say for whatever, hopefully they will go to one of these. If they can't, though, will it be available online anywhere?
It will be available online through my website. I have an Amazon platform, and it will be available there after Monday, April 29th. You can check it out on www. Does anyone actually have to say that anymore?
I feel like you should, just in case, because there's some people that might need that.
You will be able to locate it on www.
Shazam.
amikulusrome.com. No Shazam.
I really wanted you to, for the dot, always just do the Shazam. I'm sorry. So, yeah.
Right.
So repeat it one more time for every www.
amikulusrome, that's AMICULUS, Rome, as in the city, .com.
And that's April 29th when they're available, right? Online.
Online, yes.
And then April 27th is where you can go to Gem City Comic Con, right? Am I saying that right?
Yep, Gem City Comic Con in Dayton.
Space, which is here in Columbus, Ohio.
That is correct.
Or you can just rewind a little bit and have them say much better than I just did everything that you need to go to that. Or you can go to his website. I'm sure you have information there if you want a reminder too, right?
Yes. My website again? You want to hear my website again?
One more time, because rule of threes.
All right. My website again is www.amikulusrome.com.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about Shazam here in 1 second. Will, roll it. I'm with Travis, as you heard in the intro. But we're here to talk Shazam, DC's newest film. Shazam! Right. Which, now, here's the thing. It hasn't come around and said this, but do you think that's actually because of the popularity of the comic that Gomer Pyle would say that?
Yeah, it's a thing. He read the comic. That's why he said it.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought someone said it's like it was like unsubstantiated on that's why he was saying it. But
Well, I haven't actually looked it up, but that's what I always understood.
oh, see, that's what I understood
Yeah.
too. So, well, you know what? It should just be fact because
Why not?
No offense to Gomer Pyle was the character he played, right? It wasn't
No,
the
that
actor.
was. Why can't I remember his name?
I'm now looking it back up.
Go ahead and look it up.
No, it's okay. Sorry, I was trying to give you I really felt like you had it there. Jim Neighbors.
Jim Neighbors. Yes, that's it. Yes.
Wow. Yeah,
Anyway.
and then for bonus points, can you name the person who played Floyd the Barber?
Can anyone?
No.
I'm sure they can, but
Well,
I
can
can't.
because I'm cheating. It's Howard McNear. I don't know. Here's the thing. I always remember Aunt B, Opie. I remember the characters' names, and I just remember Floyd the Barber. And I've probably only really seen that show that I can remember a few. I would honestly say like maybe 3 hours worth of shows, even though it was on reruns all the time.
Yeah.
Because I would listen to the theme song. I was like, oh, that's a great theme song. And then when it's like, boy, howdy, I was like, click, and just moved into the next thing. So I
Yeah.
love the theme song. So, but I would know of Floyd the Barber. That's why in Freakazoid, when Floyd the Barber jokes would cup in, Floyd the Barber cuts his hair, I was just like, that's fucking funny. I get that. Where is he from again? Oh yeah, Andy Griffith.
Yeah.
It's weird. Let's tie it back around. Freakazoid is a Warner Brothers property who
Yes.
owns DC, and DC
We have come
owns-
full
we-
circle.
We have come full circle.
Yes.
And so, what did you think of the movie? Just overall base level thoughts.
I liked it. I really enjoyed it,
Nice.
actually. Yeah. Zachary Levi is wonderful. I thought he was a perfect choice
Yeah.
for the captain who we cannot name because we will be sued by Marvel.
Yeah.
But
Oh yay!
But you know the funny story about that? You know the whole Shazam has a very litigious history.
I knew. Well, kinda. I knew about Marvel side, but didn't they get sued before DC? They were DC Comics, right? They were.
Captain Marvel was actually created by a company called Fawcett Comics in the 1940s.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was said that the character was so close to Superman that DC took offense and sued them. And they convinced the judge that, yes, this was basically a patent ripoff of Superman. And Fawcett Comics went out of business, and DC acquired Captain Marvel, as he was known then.
Right. Yeah.
But then in the 1960s, turnabout was fair play when Marvel realized, hey, they're ripping off our name with this character, Captain Marvel, and they sued DC for Captain Marvel as name infringement, and they won, and they got control of the name. They didn't even have a character at that point, so they're like, let's use this name and create a character, and they created their own Captain Marvel.
I did not know the full. No, I just knew that Marvel sued them, and I figured Marvel, aka Captain Marvel, was around by that point. And that's why they did it. And also the Marvel name. I mean, Marvel was synonymous with, out of all the comic books, I would say Marvel was maybe a little bit more popular mainstream wise. That's actually an interesting point. Like, DC had more shows and stuff, you know. Mm-hmm. Like Batman had his own TV show, yes, but Spider-Man had a cartoon.
To be fair, the name Captain Marvel isn't that great. That's like General McDonald's, you know?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not. You're 100% correct on that. And yeah, I feel like there was because didn't Captain Marvel start in like Wiz Comics or something? And there was some kind of weird thing I thought where he technically didn't premiere in the first issue because the first issue was never sold.
Are we talking about the Marvel one or the DC one?
No, I'm sorry. It's a good point. DC Shazam Captain Marvel.
Right.
Like the original one back in the 30s and 40s. Like it was, like the publisher just made it as an ash can.
Yeah.
So barely, and no one really saw it.
No, you're going a little too deep for me. I don't even know that one.
To be fair, I've also looked at a website for Easter eggs and like factoids about them. And like that's like the origin stuff. That's as close as I got to know. They said, and of course everyone knows that they got sued by Marvel, and I was just like, okay, cool. And that's why I didn't know any of that stuff. So, oh man, I mean, it's so fascinating. Like they sued him for, well, I mean, I get it. Marvel, it's their name.
Right.
But like, man, I mean, technically, hasn't he been through enough? I mean, he technically was becoming more popular than Superman. DC, right?
He was more popular than Superman at one point, yeah.
Right, yeah. Actually, somewhere, I have the giant versions of, like, the giant comic books, and I think it's a reprint of one of the Captain Marvel issues. I didn't read it because it looked, well, I'm sorry, the character looked stupid.
Well, yeah.
No, as a comic fan, like, well, especially in the 90s when we grew up, they were like, was it Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld and all those guys, like that's what we were seeing. And then you have this guy who is not looking like Superman with bulging muscles and like a huge ass cape. He has a little dainty cape, which is what it looked like back then. Like it was like barely the size of one of his shoulder muscles. That's how it looked like to me. And then he has that big red suit and he looks like an effeminate version of Superman, and I just back then that wasn't in my mind. So well, that could be cool, and B, that seems interesting. So so when my dad had that, I always tossed it aside because then I would pick up Spider-Man versus Superman as the giant size comic and would just read the shit out of that. And then I got mad because at the end of the book it featured, I think, Batman versus the Hulk in the giant size. I was like, where the fuck is this book at? And he's like, I had it and I read it too much and I destroyed it. I was like, God damn it. He also would tell me fun stories where he would go to the malt shop.
The malt shop, you say?
The malt shop. It was a drugstore, but it had a malt shop in there, and it had like the comic book rack. The old sweet. He would buy his comic books from a comic book rack at a malt shop in a drugstore, and then when he would walk home, he would roll them up and put them into his bag, like Back to the Future kind of shit. And I'm just going like, now, and the thing is, I own all of them now, and some of them I'm just like, how do they get this far? Because some of them look really good. Yeah. And then, but like, he read The Death of Gwen Stacy so much that he doesn't have the cover, but he has, so I have the meat of the book, so I can read it.
It's also worth noting that it's probably lightly coated in his butt sweat.
You have... Good thing they're in bags to preserve the butt sweats, and also to make sure that butt scented color of the page remains fresh and vibrant as well. Those are important things. It's like, you know what? When I get it graded to the comic, I was just like possibly covered in butt sweat. See what it says. I wonder if that'll knock it down a grade or two. Yeah. But Grant, the only books I think he has that now I own that are worth their salt than anything is he has the first appearance of the Punisher, first appearance of the Black Cat, and if he took better care of it, I'd have the Death of Gwen Stacy. But again, that's just more like I can read it. Yeah. And then he has weird. Oh, actually, he does have the first. I think it's like a third reprinting because that was one of those ones. He's like, it's the only book I ever hunted down to find. It was Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man. Yeah. Which then just became Spectacular Spider-Man. Which is cool. But that's what he said. He's like, I had to hunt for that, like, and I got like months after it came out because I wanted to know, and it was the first one. Yeah. But Dad has like all the Marvel team ups, like Spider-Man teams up with the not ready for primetime players. Yeah. Which they couldn't call them the cast of Saturday Night Live. Right. But it's very clearly Saturday Night Live. Well, yeah. It's the weirdest thing. I have that. Yeah. So anyway, comic books. That's what we're talking about. So Shazam, I thought the costume looked weird. So, but now, and so.
I thought it was perfectly appropriate for the movie, though.
It was. So that's the thing. And so the only time ever since then I've read Captain Marvel or Shazam was I read Shazam, Captain Marvel, and the Monster Society of You because I'm a Jeff Smith fan. Yeah. And that was the only company that could woo him to do a major property. And actually they want him to do Superman or Batman or like maybe like a 3-issue arc or something.
So who is this again?
Jeff Smith. He did
Jeff
Bone,
Smith. Okay, yeah.
Local Columbus guy. Yeah. They asked him to, like, Marvel and DC Image, they were all trying to get him like, well, what do you want to do next? We'll especially the big two. And his response was, and he's like, we'll give you Batman, we'll give you Superman, Spider-Man, Captain America. And he just went to DC. He's like, I want Shazam, Captain Marvel. I have an idea called, which is, what was it? Shazam, Captain Marvel, and the Monster Society of Evil. I read the first issue, and it was interesting. I was confused as fuck. because you have to have a little knowledge of what's going on. But I was at that point I was like, maybe this character's not that bad. Maybe I need to give him another chance. It's a fascinating concept of a little boy saying Shazam and turns into a big hulking whatever. But I did not think it would be worth a damn, though. You know what I mean? It would be like Aquaman,
right?
More spectacle than anything. So then the trailer comes out, and I'm like, okay, you got Zachary Levi. You're talking to me a little bit here. And then some of the early reviews from South by Southwest were just like, this is big with superheroes.
Basically.
And it is. And it's really good. And I'm just like, really? It's DC. I'm nervous. DC's hurt me too many times in the past.
Yeah. And I'd like to talk about that actually.
Yeah, of course.
I will say that, just to repeat, Zachary Levi was perfectly cast.
Oh, yeah.
He was wonderful every time he showed up. When he didn't show up, you noticed. That's the thing. The movie stopped being funny.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the movie. It stopped being funny when he wasn't there, for the most part.
Right. And I think that's yeah, you're not wrong. I think they were also, at that point, Billy was trying to do his whole mom thing, where he was being, a teenager, which is not always a good thing. I also found, like, the friend, Freddie, or the brother, whatever, to be either really engaging with or without Levi, or just like there was no point where he was neutral to me. He was either super annoying or super like interesting, and I just wanted him to stay to the neutral to positive side. And then I watched an interview with him, and that's how he is in real life. And I was like, dear God.
Well,
Zachary
casting exists for a reason.
That is true. But I did like, so this is interesting. My wife and I had different views on this, and maybe you can offer. So someone who's in the teaching field, it really bothered her how they showed adoptive families and how everything seems to be sunny, rosy, minus from Billy's perspective. And my perspective was like it's a weird anomaly to an extent in terms of where everyone's super adjusted and doing whatever. Also, it's shorthand. It's a comic book movie,
right?
But also, I thought the mom and dad were also foster kids.
Yeah,
they went through the system, and then they got married, and so they 100% know what it's like.
Yeah, to
be in that situation. So I feel like they have. I figured that would be not always, but from how they presented it, but she was just like, nope. It's very difficult for families. There's no way that every single kid would be super happy with each other's siblings or positive, or they wouldn't be fighting. And I'm just like, okay, sure. But it's to the point where it bothered her, and it was a sticking point. For me, it didn't bother me at all. Do you have any, did it bother you at all with any of that? Or
I was able to suspend my disbelief. I don't have the depth of knowledge that she perhaps does.
Yeah.
So it did not distract me.
Yeah, it didn't me either. I mean, I feel like some of those movies, like, even, like, say if you're a scientist and you're watching, like, not this movie, but, like, a Spider-Man movie or, well, dear God, Venom. I haven't seen Venom yet.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
no.
But I'm assuming there's a lot of scenes in a lab because the trailer seems to, if they're talking and you're going like, okay, no, that doesn't, it doesn't fly. How can a man of sand do this or that? You're just like, no. Yeah,
man of sand.
That was a real... So, Nathan, we were watching Spider-Man 3, and when we were leaving the theater, my dad is just so excited because he saw Sandman come to life, and he read Sandman for whatever. And he's had 3 movies now where 3 of his villains have come back, and I'm just like, I'm just really bummed about Venom. It really bugs me. I didn't like the movie, and it's weird. I have this weird feeling. I don't really not like vehemently dislike a lot of movies. And I was like, but there's some redeeming qualities, and here where Nathan's like, first 5 minutes it lost me. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, there's no way a man of sand can exist. I was just like, yeah. I was like, Nathan, your Asperger's or whatever buddy is kicking a little bit there. I was like, you're watching a movie with a man who can web sling around New York. Choose your believability, buddy. And he's like, just because your logic makes sense, I just can't do it. And I was like, I get it, I guess. I don't get it. But yeah.
This is a thing. I'd like to speak to this about Shazam. I can't not say it that way. I don't know.
It's a fun Shazam. It's a fun word to say. You just want to talk like this. Actually, you want to talk like Gomer Pyle, all them Goobers, Piles. Yeah. Sorry.
No, just when I say Shazam. This was a problem that I had with the movie, and it seems to be, and it's a problem that I feel like. How do I say? I feel like the things that one of the things that I liked about Wonder Woman and Aquaman is that you could watch them without necessarily connecting them to the rest of the DCEU. And I will explain that in a minute.
Okay, sure.
Wonder Woman operated well as a standalone vehicle for Wonder Woman.
Right.
There was very little reference or even reason to bring the rest of the DCEU into it. Aquaman, I would say, similar to the same. I mean, it rarely referenced them or brought them in. Shazam not only incorporated those other movies, but it also suggested that it also tried really hard to make it seem like kids thought they were cool. Now, here's the thing. I mean,
so what do you mean by kids thought they were cool? Like,
well, specifically, fanboy, what's his name?
Oh, like Freddy thought that Aquaman and Batman and Superman were cool. I mean, I think. Well, okay.
I'd like to go further into that. Actually,
yeah, of course.
I mean, I feel like I hate to say this, and I couldn't get it out of my mind the whole time, but I feel like the damage that has been done to the DCEU, Zack Snyder, is irreparable. I really do, and it feels
they embrace it.
And when I watch, and to me, this is a bit of an 80s reference, so some of your millennials are not going to...
millennials. You're not going to get this, so
millennials.
Fuck you. No,
but
you know what I mean.
I mean, I feel like DC to Marvel has become the GoBots to Marvel's Transformers. You know what I mean?
Accurate. No, 100%. 100%. One of them, you get to see... You hear a really cool transforming sound. The other one, you don't even get that. I don't think.
Yeah.
And also the design is poor. The animation's bad too.
I mean, and that overhanging the movie, it's like I can't believe I found it. The thing that broke my suspension of disbelief was kids fanboying over DC heroes in Shazam. If it had existed without that continuity, it would have been a better movie. I mean, it was still pretty good. I liked it, but, that...
So here's the thing. What if that movie came first?
First before...
Any of the other ones? Would you have probably viewed it in a better light? Because at that... Well, so here's the... Zack Snyder did do a lot of damage, and I agree with you 100%. There's a part of me that wonders, though, that... Because in the real DC Comics universe, or like Marvel, there are people who love Spider-Man, there are a lot of people who hate Spider-Man, but everyone loves Captain America. Everyone loves Iron Man.
Yeah,
like they have people fanning over him and whatever. Same thing in DC. Like matter of fact, it was the first time I've honestly that I can remember saw a character like that. He looks like an old pirate captain. It's in the Superman books. He's been around since like the 40s or 50s. He's been like Superman's #1 fan. He's always in the background.
Oh yeah,
I can't think of it, but especially during the death of Superman, he was one of the people that I think Batman had come up or something. It was something like, oh, he has a fan, and he's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, so what I'm trying to say is that I think they're trying to view the viewpoint that they're trying to get away from Snyder and like, oh, people like Batman and Superman. They're like good guys. They're not thinking of what you and I saw, which is what Zack Snyder showed us, which is Superman fucking laying waste to an entire metropolis city named Metropolis without a fucking care in the world. And like literally the only Superman we got that is close to that is in the last 10 minutes of Justice League.
Yeah.
Which have you seen Justice League?
No.
I
can't bring myself to.
It's hard. I'm not going to lie. It's really hard. Here's the weird thing. The characters they get right 100% in terms of their personality. Like they add a weird Batman and Wonder Woman thing. Like no, they don't act on it, but like there's some weird flirtation. They have the chemistry, but the only reason why that is because they're the only two characters that carried over from the last movie, and that's the only reason why.
Yeah,
and that feels forced. But like Affleck is good as Batman, Godot's Wonder Woman, Ezra Miller, who has been announced now, he is no longer the Flash. He was actually a good Flash.
Yeah.
And then Cyborg's always a problem, I feel like. Teen Titans Go is the only time I've ever actually found Cyborg to be entertaining. Because no offense to the actor who played him or to anyone who's ever played him, because the guy who voices him in Teen Titans Go is the same guy who did him in the animated Teen Titans. It's the entire thing. It's just that his story, I've never cared for Cyborg, and that's a personal thing. They're going to have to. What I'm saying is, you're going to have to really work overtime to get me to like Cyborg. Movie didn't do it any justice, or it didn't do me any favors with it. And then there's Superman and Aquaman. Aquaman, again, it's like Momoa is just having a blast. So that's what I'm saying. Like, they all look like they were having fun. Cavill looked like he finally got to be. So at the end of the movie, there's a moment where Superman like saves somebody, and he looks happy doing it. And you're just like, yeah, that's Superman. And I was just like, he showed up after 3 movies, right? And so
he's out as Superman too, isn't he?
He's not saying anything, which is really weird. It came out that he was, but then Cavill came out and said on Instagram that, like, I'm still involved with, or actually he just, I think it was like a real cryptic thing. He held up an action figure of Superman and went, like, pointed at it and, like, did a thumbs up at the camera, like, I'm still in. But then, like, a month later, Affleck's out. And then he's back in, and then he's out again. Like, he's been in and out of the Batman movie so many times.
Batfleck.
I know. Which is sad. I really wanted him to. I really thought he would have. I thought he was a decent Batman. It's one of those ones where he just didn't get a good movie to showcase that. But so my point is with this is that I think they're trying to hope that get this other stuff out of your mouth. Wonder Woman and Aquaman hopefully have a different taste in your palate. That, like, people may like them. Yeah. And that's what I think they're going for. But you're not wrong. Snyder has done so much damage that in the back of your mind, you're thinking they've hurt all those people in their fights. Superman, at least. So why would people love them? And then, like, he supposedly was framed for murdering that whole Senate or whatever. Really? Yeah. Well, Batman versus Superman, I think.
Oh, God.
You know, I know. I
can't. See, that broke me. That movie broke me. I don't want to get too far off what we're discussing here today.
You're right. Sorry.
But
well, that's the beauty of this. If we can go back to it and tie it back in. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, I mean, that is the, you know, that is the problem right there, is that it's like movie by number instead of paint by number. That's always been the problem, is that, you know, he's hitting all of the required beats, but I don't think he really cares for any of it. I don't think he cares. I don't think he likes these characters as they are.
He probably read The Dark Knight and was just like, that looks cool. I want to do a whole movie with that, and put Superman in from the beginning.
But just to segue, I was to segue back to Shazam, of course.
Sorry.
I was pleasantly. It was pleasant that it was a lighthearted movie.
Which is right. Okay. Yeah. So that's the other thing too. Like, from what I remember, the end of the Monster Society of Evil book I read never got into the 7 deadly sins or really the Monster Society per se. Like, it was all about Billy and the kids, or his brothers and sisters, who I don't remember them turning into the family or whatever. So but I remember watching this. I was like, it had like a Hellboy feel. Yeah. But maybe a little bit less. The movie, the first movie by Del Toro, where you have a very lovable set of characters, but in really morbid circumstances. Like, there were moments of Shazam where, like, the 7 Deadly Sins especially, where just the tone completely shifted in a direction I had no idea was going to go. And but I was thoroughly entertained the whole time. But at no point I felt the pacing was bad. Yeah, it was just, it shocked me because, I guess, my knowledge of Shazam is, I guess, so far, and so it completely was like, oh my god, this is kind of like a weird 80s horror movie. Like, you know how Goonies was kind of like push the edge of what you can show. Yep. Yeah. Like showing the car wreck, that was kind of intense, and at the beginning, and no, I mean it was a good long time before it became humorous. Yeah, into the film. Right. Actually, I mean, the moment Shazam shows up, that's when the comedy really kicks in. Oh, and he does so. Oh my god, yes. Right? Isn't that the fun? Like, I really do feel like, and I hope this is the case, because they're not going to abandon ship. That's the sad thing. Snyder's damage is done. They might retcon some of it, but I think that whatever's happened. Especially after Wonder Woman did so well, and then Aquaman's done well, but Shazam, to me, they should treat like Iron Man. They should. Not that he should be the focal point or whatever, but that should be the tone that they keep going for, because it's like they're slowly getting better. And, well, Aquaman's debatable. I didn't hate it. It's just like, I looked at Wonder Woman and go, oh, that movie could be held up with the Marvel movies. Shazam could be held up with the Marvel movies. Aquaman's just a fun popcorn movie that has no...
You think it benefited from the otherwise deplorable state of the DCEU?
Well, Aquaman especially. Wonder Woman was... Well, maybe Wonder Woman, but I'm not going to lie. The reviews for Wonder Woman, again, it might have just been haters. Were that the movie was horrible and it's not going to do well. And then when I watched the movie, so my expectation, which is because it's DC, is already low.
Yeah.
So maybe, but I really I never go into a comic book movie wanting to hate it. I really don't. Like, Green Lantern, I'll stick up for it to an extent. Like Ryan Reynolds, it's not his fault the movie sucked.
Yeah.
He technically didn't help, but it doesn't matter. Point is, I really do feel like the DC universe could, it's gonna, they're gonna hopefully keep building from this, but I don't think they're ever gonna let that part go, which is sad. I hope they if that's the case, I hope they recon it. But yeah, was it that it was so bad that it's what made Wonder Woman good? I don't know. I mean,
no, it was. I think Wonder Woman was redeemable in its own right. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it completely flipped the script on.
Yeah.
Because it's a woman being the one that's being the brash action hero. And then you have Chris Pine, who's very, at least in the movie, showing that he's very capable as a soldier, being the one going, no, you're, let's not, whatever, like, let's be more emotional in how we think about things or whatever. Well, he's not literally saying that, but like, he's just like, let's think about this for a second. How does this make you feel like we're attacking and saving these people, whatever, by the Nazis or whatever? Anyway. And usually in a movie, that's the female sidekick's job or the fat friend's job in the thing, and that's how the show goes. But so they flipped that, and that was cool. And Shazam, so I'm not gonna lie, I thought there was gonna be a moment at the end where Freddy was gonna like be the one that helped save the day. Yeah. But not in the manner that they did it in. Because usually in a movie, that's what happens. Like, he's being picked on, and it's like, or Billy and him would team up in their normal forms, and that's how they would defeat Mark Strong. Didn't happen. But, I mean, I was still very pleased with that ending.
I actually really liked the way they did it. That was, I mean, that caught me completely by surprise, which is not something that happens. I mean, that suddenly, all of his adopted brothers and sisters become the Marvel family.
Right. Okay, so...
It's weird that you can still call it the Marvel family, even though it's not
the Shazam Marvel. It's like Shazam.
Shazmarvel.
Shazmarvel. Oi, Freylaven.
God.
No. So when you and I watch movies, there's probably a part in you like. I mean, I'm not as much as a writer as you are. I would say, a published writer, but there's a part of you that's kind of you're trying to figure out the story as you watch. It's not on purpose. It's just how you work. Like. When I watched a trailer, like I watched the Toy Story 4 trailer, and I was just like, I think Bo Peep's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Just somehow the way, some of the dialogue, and granted, it could be the trailer, but like they're showing that it's Christina Hendricks' little cutie pie doll. No, it's Bo Peep. She's going to be the main antagonist. And my wife looked at me, she's like, why would you think that? I was just like, I just feel like what's the most shocking thing they could do in that series? And they bringing her back, so it's like a huge deal. And then also in the trailer, she wants him, so blah, 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 blah. So I'm just like, that's how my brain works. When I watch any movie, like I'm piecing together, like, this is how this is going to pay off. This is how that's going to pay off. And usually in a movie like this, because he's not listening to his best friend, he's going to, or it's like Iron Man. Are you the man or the suit? Which makes you Iron Man? And it's like, it's really the man, not the suit, even though it is. But you know what I mean? So the same thing, it's like at some point is Billy going to become normal and then team up with Freddy, who... And there's nothing wrong with this. He has a disability. Well, they'll team up, and that's how they'll take it down, as being non-Shazam. And instead, like, right as it happened, he's like, I got it. And you hear the flashback of Shazam saying what he's like, my brothers and sisters and I, blah, 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 use your heart. And he picks up the stuff. I was like, what the fuck is he doing? Is he just going to, like, electrocute them? That's the only thing that popped in my head. Or maybe he was going to teleport them back to the thing. Never in my wildest dreams would it be like, oh, he's making them other other characters, like the Marvel family. I had no fucking clue.
Yeah.
That's what I was like. It was it was so refreshing. Because again, I don't get surprised as much.
Yeah.
Which is sad. But like, yeah, I dug the shit out of that.
Yeah.
How's that with you though? Was that the same thing? Like he's picking up the staff and you're just like, what's going on? Like
I was very much what's going on, and then what? Oh, cool.
Now, funny thing is that in my reading of stuff, especially in the newer iteration since the New 52 or whatever, it said that like the professor guy that Mark Strong played, the more the 7 deadly sins exit you, the less power you have, the more Shazam has his power shared out with his family.
Oh yeah.
The weaker he becomes.
Yep.
But they didn't address that in the movie, and I wonder if that's for later, but I thought that was an interesting other way they could. So now I'm now looking very much forward to the sequel, which again, I would have never thought I'd be excited to see Shazam 2 or even 4. I want it to be successful.
I'll tell you another thing that I really liked.
Yeah. Hit me with it.
To preface this, most of my understanding of the Captain Marvel universe, or Shazam universe. I'm sorry.
You're not saying it right anymore. Travis, you guys, Shazam.
Shazam. Yeah, my understanding of the universe is actually came. This is from about 10 years ago when they did the Infinite Crisis, and then they did 52.
Oh yeah.
Remember
they did the
comic
one,
a week
right?
for a year.
Yes.
And like I really actually, and that's where I got most of my understanding of like Savannah and all of the other villains.
See, I don't even know who Savannah is, so you're like one up on me.
Yeah, Savannah and Black Adam and all the rest of them.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I have to be really honest, I was really jazzed that they brought Mr. Mind in at the end. The worm.
Yes. Okay. No idea. I remember watching that and I'm just like, who the fuck is his rogues gallery? That like I was just like, I have no understanding of his rogues gallery because again, and this is in general, and even in Marvel, like the rogues gallery it's really Spider-Man and Batman are the big rogues gallery.
Yeah.
And then after that, you get like weird one-offs like the Red Skull, Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. Like, if you had to tell me Wonder Woman, if it wasn't for the Justice League cartoon, I could not tell you a fucking single foe she fought except for Nazis.
Yeah.
No clue. And then I found out, it's a cat lady. I don't even know her name. I think it's Cheetah, or I don't know, Jaguar Woman.
Wonder Woman's
foe. Kristen Cheetah?
Cheetah.
Yeah,
Yes.
so Kristen Wiig is playing her apparently in the new movie, which
Really?
yeah, which is intriguing, but hey, they did right by me in the first movie. I'm gonna hear it out. But yeah, never. So Shazam is even like way down at the bottom of the two. I was like, there's a fucking worm that has a voice box, is a bad guy.
Yep.
Fucking step on it. Like, no, but I read up on him and apparently he's like the smartest creature in the entire DC universe.
Yes.
And that's how he keeps evading capture. And he always finds a way without hypnotizing them. He can, supposedly, but he can talk them into doing shit. So, and actually he's like one of the leaders of the Monster Society of Evil. Or something like that, which is, again, blows my mind.
That was actually one of my favorite things. I really enjoyed, this is one of the things that really impressed me and got me to be a really big DC reader about 10 years ago was, I don't know how the impression I got was that you didn't particularly enjoy the 52 series.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I like some of it, but you're mostly right.
I loved it, and I thought it was a miracle how well it held up.
Yeah.
You know, from in like reading it as one thing. I mean, reading it from week to week, I imagine it would be irritating as heck, but the way that they used Mr. Mind in that as like the chief villain, I thought was fantastic.
Oh,
that was my introduction to him. Was in
so
52.
He was the main villain for like of just Shazam, or like for the whole event?
For the whole 52. He was the mastermind.
Wow.
Behind the whole thing.
Damn, I didn't know that.
And I think Jeff Johns was sort of show running that, which, again, I think we disagree. We have differences of opinion because at that point, I thought I thought that Jeff Johns really injected a lot of great stuff into the DC universe, but
since
then, maybe not so much.
So here's my problem, and it has nothing to do with Jeff Johns. So like, I read a few years ago, it was a free comic book day thing. They did Man of Steel, written by Jeff Johns. And it's one where he had a kid.
Yeah.
And the whole issue was about the kid being in a bunker somewhere, and he was weak and whatever. And the issue ended with Superman accidentally like fighting somebody. I don't know if it was Doomsday or what it was, but someone strong enough that they burrowed that far down into the ground and unleashed the kid. And of course, sunlight got through, and he started getting stronger. And he was able, and then Superman, and it ended with like, "Who are you, kid? Do you need help?" or something like that. And I was like, I'm totally on board with this. Like, really love Superman's interaction with Lois. I dig it. My problem is just DC in general, how they operate as a company. Like, look, I don't love events. Marvel is guilty of doing events. It is what it is. Like, here's the thing. I might be intrigued about the event, and then I realize I got suckered into, even though I know I'm getting suckered into it. It's like when you go to a movie, you're being part of commerce. Yeah. But it's either going very well or very poorly, and you don't really know until you're, halfway through in some cases. But with the New 52, I just felt like their approach for handling continuity, but it's always been DC's problem. Yeah. It's just a continuation of that. That's why I have problems with, cause like I remember I read, Scott Snyder's Batman, Court of Owls. That took place like right before or during the New 52. Yeah. Fucking amazing.
Oh, to be clear, when I was talking about 52, I didn't mean the new. It's confusing.
Oh no. Okay, I'm sorry. So there was a normal 52? Because I thought the New 52 was like one whole year experiment that then extended a little bit, and then they changed they rebooted it again.
Well, what it was that they did Infinite Crisis back in 2006,
which is actually the third one, right? Because the second one is where Flash died. The first one is where Supergirl. Sorry. That's what I remember. That was in the 80s, I think. Sorry, continue.
Well, there was Crisis of Multiple Earths in the 60s. There was Crisis of Infinite Earths in the 80s. And then there was Infinite Crisis in 2005 and 6.
Okay.
And there was Final Crisis, which we will not mention again.
Is that tied? Sorry, you don't have to go. You said yes or no. Is that tied to 0 Hour?
No, that was actually a mini crisis in between. That was a mini crisis of the 90s, which was kind of a crisis in general for the comic books. But anyway,
continue. Yes.
But in the immediate aftermath of Infinite Crisis, there was 52, which was a series that was kind of a stunt a little bit, where DC, they did a comic a week for 52 weeks in this series, in which, well, first of all, one of the things was that Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman were AWOL. Like after Infinite Crisis, they were nowhere to be seen. Superman had lost his powers briefly, he took a sabbatical. Wonder Woman left, and Batman also checked out, and it was entirely without the three of them.
I'm going to let you finish this, because I have questions for you about this, because this is fascinating. No, but continue. Sorry.
And the whole thing was, it's kind of hard to describe, because it had probably about 5 different subplots going on.
Like they do, yeah.
But it went, like I said, they published one book a week for 52 weeks for the next year, and it ended with, I think, it's confusing because the New 52 wasn't for another few years after that, but
yeah, okay, that's where I was getting confused.
And the thing about it is, you can find it's in 5 volumes. 52 is what it's called, and that was where they revealed that the aftermath of Infinite Crisis created. Before that, there was one reality. Right. And the aftermath of Infinite Crisis had created 52 alternate worlds, and this was the series in which you found that out.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So my question is, what the fuck were they doing in the Man of Steel and the Detective Comics and Wonder Woman? Well,
they just weren't in that series, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, they weren't in that series. They were completely absent.
But were they trying to market like what's going on? How are they not here but there? Whatever. Do they?
Well, these major crises were happening, and the big three were nowhere to be found, and couldn't. Basically, people, the lesser heroes, if you will, were left to deal with the chaos and craziness by themselves.
Okay. No, I was just fascinated because that's one of the things that always kind of, and it's hard for any company to do, because there are so many hands and so many pies, which is like when you do an event like that, normally it ties in. part of the problem was I was reading Nova, and I really liked what they were trying to do with Nova, which was they made Nova a young kid, and not like Ryder or whatever his name is, the original Nova.
Yeah,
that protected Earth. He disappeared, and after Annihilation, when the Guardians that everyone knows now, that was the whole storyline. Anyway, it was almost like Peter Parker. So he's trying to go to school, and he's Latino. So he is, and his dad's gone. So like his mom is raising them, and he has like brothers and sisters that are younger than him. He's taking care of. It's like Spider-Man. The world's just falling on his shoulders, and he also has to go into space and fight people.
Yeah, and
which I thought was like, well, that's a nice twist on that per se. That I guess I never really read the original Nova. Well, Nova would go up in space a lot, and I got suckered into... He's the one that found the Watcher, and that's the issue. I didn't know that's what kicked off Original Sin, because someone killed the Watcher and ripped his eyes out as a sign. Yeah. And so, yeah, when I bought that, now I was like, well, I gotta fucking see who killed the Watcher, because it's also the fucking Watcher. Because I'm sad. So I bought it.
You said it.
No, I did. No, it's okay. It's okay. I totally am aware of myself in that moment. But like, then you would read stuff where it goes, find out what happens to Nova, because then Nova leaves for a second, and then like the Avengers show up or whatever. And then when you read it, you feel like there's been a ball drop somewhere between what you read in that event book versus what they're doing in the Nova book. And then sometimes they work, it's like very flawlessly. That's why I was wondering, like, well, what the fuck is Batman, Superman? Because they're not gonna. It's their biggest books, probably. Yeah, they're not gonna say no to Man of Steel or Detective Comics. So that's why I was wondering during 52, if they're not around, what were they doing? But was that in another universe? Is that what it was?
No, they just weren't in the events in that series.
Fair enough. So that's why I was wondering. It's like, well, what the fuck are they doing in their own book then?
Right.
Because I'm sure at some point, because it's all connected in both universes, if Master what's the worm's name? Mastermind?
Mr. Mind.
Mr. Mind.
Yes.
What Mr. Mind is masterminding his grand scheme and doing whatever. I don't know. If it was like a big laser hitting the Earth, you figure at some point Superman would be like, I should probably do something. But that's why I was asking. But and when they put these books in collective volumes, they never usually put all the tie-ins, which just also frustrate me or whatever. Anyway, I'm sorry. I was just a general curiosity because sometimes... I mean, I like Marvel, but sometimes they suck at doing their big events, and that's why I was curious. Okay, so Shazam,
yes, back to that again.
Mr. Mind, that was fascinating. I had no idea about the fucking worm. It was just such a and so here's the thing too: your brain, as you watch movies, learns what they're trying to show you.
Yes.
So earlier in the movie, they made a point to show the worm.
Yes.
And being no one who knows you probably were like, "Is that Mr. Mind?"
I immediately recognized him.
Okay, see, I had no clue, but I was like, well, he's going to be important. Like, why?
And then you saw later that the glass was shattered and he was gone.
Right. No, totally. So I was like, but then you discount it for a second. It's like, maybe that was a particular framing shot to show you all the different weird shit that Shazam has in the cave. Because they also have the mirror. Yep. Which I don't know what it does, but it was apparently a plot point in the book that I was reading. Or it was in the cover. So I knew the mirror is important for something, but I don't know what. And so they had the mirror like in the foreground, and then right in front of the camera, on 1/3 of the screen was Mr. Mind, and then they had Billy walking down the cave. And I was just like, well, that worm seems important.
Yes.
And then some time goes by, and I think they go back to the thing at first, and you're just like, well, they're not showing anything just yet. Maybe it wasn't important. And then they show the worm out. I was just like, that worm has to be important. Was he going to turn into like a giant thing and kill the 7 deadly sins or something? I had no concept for anything. That's what I'm saying. So then at the end he started talking. I was like, excuse me? Which, And so first thing I did was when I saw that, I went home and I went on YouTube on my Roku and I looked up Mr. Mind. And they had a clip of him on Teen Titans Go. Where they were making fun. I was like, it's just an itty bitty worm ho, or doing whatever. And he's like, will you stop that? I'm very serious. And it's like, with his itty bitty little voice box, is that a voice box, buddy? Oh yeah. And like Beast Boys is trying to turn it into a worm. Yeah, it was really funny. And then even Shazam was getting mad. He's like, I mean, he's actually a very deadly foe. And they're just like, that little guy? Oh no, it's a little worm, buddy. So that, again, that's all I know about him. Yeah. So I am intrigued for that. And especially, like, does Mark Strong retain any of his I mean, not the sins, but like, does he get any extra powers because of that? He just hasn't realized yet, or I don't know. What Mark Strong? Did I say Dr. Strong? I'm sorry.
Maybe.
I'm so sorry. In my brain, I was like, he's a doctor.
Yeah.
But he's Mark Strong playing him. So
I'm sure it's worth noting that that the depiction of Savannah is completely different from the way they depict him. He's just a diminutive mad scientist in the comics.
Oh.
Yeah. He has no superpowers. Although the connection between him and Mr. Mind is that he routinely captured and experimented on Mr. Mind. They're actually enemies.
Really?
Yep.
Now, I'm saying they didn't really do that per se in this, but at least that we're aware of. I don't. Mm-hmm. That's still interesting. Also, do you know, like, when the one girl touched the symbol on the door, was that because it's like it was deserving of a sacrifice? And that's why she died when the door opened when they went to Shazam's cave?
You know, that's a good question. I have no idea why that happened.
I didn't know if maybe you knew that, because that's the first thing that popped in my head was like, did it demand a sacrifice because the 7 deadly sins? And you're using maybe their code to get there? Or something? I don't know.
So was that theirs or was that Shazam's? Was that the Wizards? Cause
that's a good point, because it also came up when Billy Batson got transferred. Mm-hmm. Okay, never mind. Well, hold on, I'm rethinking this, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I just thought it was very peculiar that she disintegrated. I mean, it was cool and it was terrifying. Again, it's one of those extra moments you're like, this is kind of a harder movie than I'm expecting it to be.
Yeah. Why was it set at Christmas, by the way? Was it supposed to come out at Christmas?
That's a good question. I don't know. I feel like it was always set to... But here's the other thing, too. Maybe they're taking a page from... who's the guy that wrote Lethal Weapon? Shane Black. Shane Black's big thing is... And another thing is, I don't think they really followed his method on this, but is that you always set it at Christmas time because people's spirits... When they watch Christmas happening in a movie, they're expecting different things. Mm-hmm. And if you play with the expectation of it, it makes it... And if you do watch Shane Black's movies that take place at Christmas, was it The Good Guys... Lethal Weapon 1 and 2, and there's another one in there. Like, it completely subverts what you expect to see at a movie that takes place at Christmas time. Like, they're trying to do stuff like that, and then it gets turned on its head. Maybe that's what they were going for? That's the only thing I can think of, because you're right. Yeah, because it's a winter festival, or winter Christmas carnival. The Santa Claus was surprisingly funny. I didn't expect... Because I was like, man, so this is a running joke now. Yeah. Okay. And then I was like... Oh no, it's just the 2 times, and then he shows up in the news report.
Yeah,
and then they bleep him out, which I thought was like, "There's your F-bomb, everybody! Congratulations!" And it was again bleeped out. Yeah, they always are. Hearing your first F-bomb in a movie. Yeah. Let me see what else. So Zachary Levi, Zachary Snyder. Ooh, sorry.
Too many.
Take a drink. Zachary Levi was dead on. He was really good, and Mark Strong again. Even like in Green Lantern, he was not bad. He's good in almost every movie he does. Yeah. Even if the movie itself is not good. I mean, and technically, he's okay. Did you see Dumbo with your wife?
I did not.
Good. But if you would like to hear more, listen to our last episode, Dumbo, where we had So Michael Keaton, and you can listen to my whole rant there, but. How he chewed scenery Mark Strong did in this movie is what I wanted Michael Keaton to do in that movie. But they just let Michael Keaton go rogue, which is not horrible, but it's also not good. It's just, yeah. Anyway, I kind of wish Dumbo would have like came out after Shazam and was like, no, do reshoots. This is what we want from Michael Keaton here. That kind of like... Because I'm sure Michael Keaton in the movie, when you watch Dumbo, if you ever watch it, which you should not, it's my opinion. And
you'll never know.
Yeah, you'll never know. But if you just watch a clip of it, you get a sense that he is having fun. Yeah. But it's just like, I don't know, something else needed to be changed. It's probably the director throwing it out there.
Or the idea that they needed another Dumbo. That's
true. I mean, yeah. Which, again, our thoughts are on that. I agree with you 100%. But yeah, I think Mark Strong is good in everything he does, and this one is no, and he's technically has some goofy shit to say. Yeah. But he pulls it off well. Did you, and I only know this because I cheated and looked up Easter eggs, did you catch the Rock cameo?
The Rock cameo?
Yeah, The Rock is going to play Black Adam.
I did not.
So,
I didn't know that.
So the scene where Shazam is showing Billy the original person that was gifted his powers and became evil and wiped out half of Egypt, it's Black Adam. And if you look at him, he looks like The Rock a little bit in terms of his outline. And I didn't notice that at first, but the clip they showed on Entertainment, whatever it was, they just had a still from it, and I was like, oh, it does kind of look like The Rock a little bit. Because then the next shot, he has his hood back over. And I was like, okay. But I didn't know that. I knew they were making a Black Adam movie, but I had no idea how.
They're making an entire movie out of him?
Yeah, because he's like, they're treating him like he's a bad guy who's also a good guy who's also a bad guy. They're not like Deadpool where they're making fun of shit, but like it's. I mean, I'm intrigued by it, but I don't know. But after Shazam, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I don't know what the difference of it would be. Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, how can you make that entertaining because he's a bad guy? I don't know. Or maybe it's really the sequel for Shazam, and they're just calling it Black Adam. I don't know. Especially after they set up Mr. Mind, and I'm sorry, I'm going to call him this Dr. Strong, because that's his new name now, because I like it. Me and Mark go way back. He's totally cool with it. No, he's not.
Has he been on the show?
He's busy, you know. He's a busy guy doing a lot of busy things. Now, I will tell you, by proxy, I've met Jeff Johns.
Yeah. How do you do that by proxy?
I went to a doctor, and this is right when I was going, it was at OSU, and she's like, what do you do for a living? I was like, well, right now I'm doing this fan comic for Ninja Turtle. She's like, comic books? Oh my God. My best friend is Jeff Johns. And I was just like, okay. She's like, no. He like runs DC Comics. And I was like, sure. She's like, he flew here last week. And I was like, okay, sure. And then afterwards I was like, should I have milked that for more? Like, I just didn't believe her. And now I just was like, you totally should have, like, something got squeezed. Yeah, I don't know, somehow squeezed some more info out of, but it was mostly disbelief. So by proxy, I've met Jeff Johns, like
maybe
within 6 degrees.
Yeah.
To me, that's a good proxy. You know, like if, like Mark Strong, I have not met Mark Strong by proxy or within 6 degrees. So that's my Jeff Johns story. I'm sticking to it.
I try not to meet any of my heroes.
Good man. Good man.
It's always devastating.
It always is. Do you always talk like this, or is this Travis's thinky voice?
No, this is my Batman voice.
Amazing.
No, that's my Christian Bale bullshit Batman voice.
Now, what's really funny is, have you seen the Pete Holmes bit where, because he does a decent Christian Bale Batman, like for reals. Then he amps it up a little bit to make it more comical. But there's one where I think when they announced Superman versus Batman, they did the thing where they shone the light in the sky, and like Batman shows up, and it's Commissioner Gordon and Superman, and Superman is like, Batman, we have a huge problem. And I just need to read this. Hold on for a second. My eyes have been bugging me since I had some kryptonite earlier or whatever. He puts his Clark Kent glasses on. And he's like, what did you do with Superman? Like, he has no clue. And then, like, Jim Gordon is like, here, maybe borrow my glasses because they're not working. And Batman's still just freaking in the background. He's like, where's Jim Gordon? Like, so pretty much he's so dumb that if you take glasses on, he can't tell super identities apart. And it's in that stupid Christian Bale voice, which you know. Here's the thing. I didn't hate the Christian Bale voice, but again, because if you watch all those movies, the only dialogue that sounds just really bad is from the first one, where it's like, it's not who you are, it's what you do that makes the difference. I was just like, was there a reason to accent that do? There's no reason for that. It just makes a decent line sound really shitty.
Seems more like you put the do on the accent, if you know what I mean.
Fist bump. So Shazam. No, it was really good.
I know. Go on.
The 7 Deadly Sins were really good.
Yeah.
There were some parts that were a little hokey about them. But again, they went right when you were thinking that, they then murdered somebody or started eating somebody. Mark Strong was good. By the way, no, this is me. Are you a fan? I'm not a fan of Smallville, but did you watch Smallville?
Bits and bots, yeah.
Did you see Lex Luthor's father in the movie?
Oh, yeah, John Glover, yeah.
Which, I love him because he played 2 of my favorite movies, and there are, I think, the one's 80s, one 90s. Gremlins 2, the new batch. He played Mr. Clamp.
Yeah.
Actually, that's how I know him. And then I watched Scrooge like years later. I was like, oh my God, he's also the director that is like giving Frank a hard time and like once is trying to take his job as CEO.
Yep, Scrooged.
Yeah, Scrooge. And I was just like, so anytime and I know him also Batman the Animated Series.
Yes.
He's the Riddler.
Yes.
And he's great.
And he's a wonderful father to psychotic bald villains.
He is. Oh, yes, he is. So any final thoughts on Shazam? Or any other points that you wanted to bring up that are bouncing around in there?
Well, it's interesting that just another Captain Marvel.
Yeah, hit me with it.
It's kind of interesting that Jaimin Hansu is the connection between two Captain Marvel movies.
Wait, what?
He was in Captain Marvel and Shazam.
Who?
He was the wizard in Shazam. He was Shazam himself.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't hear who you said, and that's why I was like. And I'm sure, I heard it that time.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what you were saying. And so, and then maybe, now I realize, when I said who, you maybe thought I was making fun of the character he played in Guardians of the Galaxy. It's the same character. Mm-hmm, he's like, I'm Star-Lord. Who?
Yes.
Yeah, anyway. I was not. I literally just did not hear you. I'm so sorry. No, that's true. He's the bridge.
Yes.
Between the Marvels and the Marvels.
Mm-hmm.
Man, okay, crazy.
There's that.
I'm just trying to think of anything else to throw out there before. Yeah, the 7 Deadly Sins, like someone showed me the original picture from the original comic when they premiered.
Yeah. And
they look goofy as shit.
Well, yeah.
And
like you do.
Yeah.
Oh my. That looks like something out of a Scrooge McDuck comic book.
It does, doesn't it? And if I can...
Scrooge McDuck is awesome, if I may say so.
Oh.
But, different strokes and all that.
I told your wife, by the way, and I hope she related to you if you're a fan of... I think the new DuckTales is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But if you get the Disney app, it's free till the end of the month. The entire series so far is free. The pilot's already on YouTube.
Yeah.
But anyway, here or there. Also, okay, so remember he opens the door at one point and the alligators turn their heads and they start roaring at Shazam? Apparently, that is a bad guy. He's part of the Monster Society of Evil. His name is Sobek. It's a reference to Sobek, who is pretty much just a gigantic mutant alligator.
Interesting.
That wears clothes.
Sobek was the crocodile god in Egypt.
Oh.
Yeah. He shows up in the 52 series that I told you about, too.
That makes sense, because he's part of... If Mr. Mime is the ringleader of the normal Monster Society of Evil, it makes sense that he is part of that.
Mm-hmm.
There is a cat character. It's a tiger. There was a running theme about tigers in the movie, which I can only remember the plush tiger at the beginning of the movie. I don't remember the tiger later.
Tawny the tiger.
Dude, you already got that.
Yep, part of the Marvel family. So very annoying he was.
See, no fucking clue about some of this. 7 Deadly Sins, yeah. Black Adam, we already talked about Black Adam. Mm-hmm. All right, so, and I guess this ties into something you mentioned earlier. Did the Superman cameo at the end kind of annoy you, even though they didn't show his face?
Did it annoy me? It annoyed me, but not for the reasons you mentioned.
Okay.
It's like, basically what I was thinking. Bring Captain America and Iron Man in if you really want to see these kids go wild. That's what I thought. Which was a terrible thing to think, because I love Superman, believe it or not. I just don't love what the DCEU has done to him or any of those characters.
Right.
It's ruined it for me.
Yeah.
That's my problem.
So hypothetically, what if they did another Superman movie and they made, and it was Cavill or even not, but they're using the same continuity, but it's a good movie, like it's a good Superman movie. Would that?
Which one?
No. I'm doing a hypothetical here. Like if they make a new one, with or without Henry Cavill, but they keep the continuity that's already been established in the DCU.
You know what was a good Superman movie?
Superman
1978. Make one like that. Make that one. Do that.
You are going on like a Dumbo-like rant like I did last week, and that's perfectly acceptable. No, I'm not kidding. Like I completely get it. Like, I think I recorded 3 versions, whatever one's out there. I did. It was by myself. I was just walking around, and I realized I kept getting more angry and angry of talking about Batman vs Superman, because I would do. And some of you loyal listeners out there, would remember, like, I would do GBG drive-bys where, like, if I couldn't get anyone, I just really wanted to talk about the movie. And now I start editing myself so much that I just don't release them. And sometimes I record them. But, like, I recorded one, and I remember I had the whole day off. I spent maybe 3 hours just ranting about Batman versus Superman.
Yeah. It's easy to do.
It is. And I was recording it on my phone, so I'm just walking, and it looks like I'm dictating to myself. But as it continues on, I look like I'm a fucking madman. Like I'm getting mad. I'm like cooking food or whatever. I'm just like, or I'm getting ready to cook food, so I'm like slamming fucking bags down. I was like, fucking Martha, what the fuck? Like, this is like, is it cool? Yeah. Was it done shittily? Yeah. What the fuck, Zack Snyder? Yeah. I was just going all.
That would have been a brilliant movie montage scene of you just like going through your whole day, like just ranting about this, just in little cuts to
right. I mean,
in the morning, in the shower, on the way to work. At work, at your desk, coming at lunch, coming back,
fucking Batman is like, fucking Martha, what the fuck? Yeah, it was so, I completely, and I'm 100%, I mean, well, hell, fuck Martha, even Man of Steel, the whole breaking the neck thing, just completely, like, I was willing to forgive him destroying half the city, and then he broke his neck, and I was just like, no, that's the whole point, Superman would never do that, like, what the I can't. Sorry. Let's not go there. So, Freddy. Okay, we already talked about Freddy a little bit. Okay, yeah, Mr. Mind in the credits. We already talked about that. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of what other Easter eggs did I. Yeah,
okay, here's something I also did not care for was that the actual walking on the toy piano was a little too on the nose for Big. I did not care for that. Because that was a direct reference to Big, and it's like, really, guys? We already know it's already what everyone is thinking about, you know?
Well, I guess the problem is that if you're going to do that, then at least do something more with it than you did. I get that's what you're trying to do. But no, like, I'm watching, I was like, it's the piano from Big. It makes total sense. And then it's like, nope, he just beats the fuck out of him. Like, he's walking on it, which in itself is kind of funny now that I'm thinking about it. But, like, I remember watching it, I was like, but still, it's not enough to keep it in. Like, I just wish they would have done, like, if they would have done something where he was, like, fighting around him and making him step on the notes to do the song, like, that to me would have been a perfect reason to keep that in the movie. But if not, I just...
The funny part for me was when they're fighting in the toy store and he's throwing all of these toys of Batman and Superman.
Oh my
He's
God.
like, go get him, Batman! That was funny. That was a laugh out loud moment.
And that was apparently voiced by Affleck. So that's Affleck doing, it's like, I'm Batman. I'm Batman. It's like, I am the night. I'm the terror of the night, or whatever he's saying.
That was funny.
It was. And, I mean, you gotta give it for DC. They put all or Warner Bros., they put all their licensing stuff. So there's like Looney Tunes in the background. Plush, like little weird plush Wonder Woman dolls that, like, he kind of bumps into at one point. I was like, gotta give it for them. They always know how to do that shit, and which has made it just even more comical. Yeah. That's a good point. I completely forgot about that. I want to see the movie again. I think it's always a good sign, especially when we're getting, the time we record that, Hellboy's coming out soon. I'm really ramping up for Godzilla. Of course, Avengers. It's a busy season for us here in the podcast world of GBG. So, yeah, but I still want to find time to watch Shazam again because I just really enjoyed it. And I hate to say this, no offense to the person who won the copyright, but I kind of enjoyed it a little bit more than Captain Marvel. Like, it was more entertaining. Like, I wouldn't mind watching it again, like, right away. Captain Marvel, I saw it again with my parents, and I was like, ooh, this might be one time more than I was needing it to watch it again. Which is, not that it's bad, I think there's, anyway, you can listen to the episode we talked about Captain Marvel to hear about that. But, so that's what I'm saying. So far, it's my favorite movie of, like, the spring, summer of 2019, which, I'm not gonna lie, I was not expecting that to be. I was expecting it to be Captain Marvel, Avengers. I'm going to enjoy Godzilla, because I'm a Godzilla fan. But, you know what I mean? I was not expecting to hold Shazam up there, So, they did a great job directing, acting in the movie. Yeah, good job, everybody. Not gonna lie, I didn't think you could pull it off.
Yes.
Now, keep fucking trying to do what you did right in this one and all the other DC movies. I don't think they can do it. Any other final thoughts about that, or?
Oh, no.
Are you sure? Anything else bubbling in there?
I have nothing left.
I don't. Thank you for giving what you gave.
Shazam!
Jeez! You're a creep! Go away! We're having a good time until you showed up, cheapers! Go have some coffee with cream or something! Because I'll tell you something! This is a happy place!